How are you doing? And welcome to another weekly installment of Valet Stories. This week, I'm going to do something a little bit different and do an AMA, which is Ask Me Anything, because I get a lot of questions. In the world of valet parking, we've been doing great. We're doing well in terms of employees. We're still a little busy, and we still have a lot of guys that are going on vacation constantly, and I can't deny them that. But at the same time, it keeps us on the toes. That keeps us moving constantly. And again, I love the industry, and I hope you guys do too. Of course, that's why you're sitting here watching, listening to the crazy stories that we have. But this week, I wanted to answer a few questions of things that are going on, and people had some information. And one of the first questions had to do with the last video I posted, which was about me being stupid, almost getting hit by that car. The police went to his house and arrested him. They arrested him for 3 charges. If you haven't watched the other video, you can actually watch it right here. But to do a shortcut, this guy was arrested, and he was arrested, 1, for hit and run. He hit a vehicle and then he took off. Number 2, assault, which was aggravated assault because I stood in front of his car trying to prevent him from leaving, and he started the car up, put it in gear, and tried to move forward on me. So that's considered aggravated assault. And the third one was DUI because he was drunk. And someone asked, let me look it up real quick. So SB asked, here, let's see. How can the cops prove that he was drunk at the time of the arrest? He could have gone home and started drinking. And that is absolutely correct. So that's a really good question. The answer is from the point on which he had the incident happen to the point where he got home, I think would take him 10 minutes to drive home. From there, let's say he starts drinking, and they said the effects of drinking start 10 minutes after you physically start drinking. Now, the officers got there within 20 minutes of the first phone call. So with that being said, that means if they test his blood out and he's at 0.08, which is legally drunk, then how did he get that drunk that quickly? Now, this gets into all science and everything, and honestly, they may drop the charges for the DUI, but he's still getting arrested for the other 2 parts. But the officers are going to swear when they got there, this guy was intoxicated. So will it hold up in court? Maybe, maybe not. Depends how far they want to go into it, or even if the guy admits it. Because if he says he was out fishing, let's say, and he only had 1 or 2 beers while on the water, then he came to the restaurant to get this, then yes, he was drunk driving. He had alcohol in his system while he was driving. Was he over the limit? I don't know, but yet he was intoxicated. Now, they're going to bring me in and ask me to admit that he was drunk? No, because I'm not an expert. I can't sit here and say, yes, this guy was drunk or not. But that was a very good question, and I kind of thought about that myself because this guy could have got home, started downing a whole bunch of beers, and then within 10 minutes of the police getting there, he's drunk. I don't think it works that quickly. But anyway, that's something for the courts to handle, not me. The next question comes from Brian Schultz. He says he started working for another valet company at a hotel, 5-star hotel, and he wanted to know if I had any advice. I have great advice. This is something I say genuinely to anybody that comes on board. It's obvious that you're coming here for a job because you want to get paid, but don't make that so obvious. I have a lot of valets that come on, all they want is money, and that's it. Once they're done, they don't give a crap about this job. But while they're here, they care about the company. And that's what I say to do. When you come, care about the company. Show your loyalty towards the company and towards the customers. If a customer comes in, be genuine. Sit there and be excited to see that customer. How can I help you? Someone may come out, and this is what happens. This happens a lot. A customer will come out and say, hey, can you just give me my keys? I need to grab something out of my car. Usually the cars are parked quite far away, so we'll say, hey, is there anything I can grab out of the car for you? They don't realize when we say that, we're doing that for 2 reasons, because we're actually being lazy. It's easier for us to run to the car, grab something out of it, and bring it back to you than it is to pull the car forward, unpark it, get the keys, everything like that, give it to you, and then we got to turn around and repark it. It's so much easier to do it the first way. We can go to the car, unlock it, get your cell phone out, let's say, then lock the car back up, give you the cell phone, hang up the keys, rather than doing the other way. But anyway, be as genuine as possible. Try to help out the customers as much as possible. If you see someone coming in and she's carrying a whole bunch of packages, ask them if they need help. Or you know what, take the forefront. Take the bag from them, open up the front door to the restaurant or wherever you're going to, event space. These are things that you can do to really improve your job as a valet. And the customers will recognize it. The restaurants will recognize it, or the accounts, or even your managers will recognize it. So be the best person you can be, genuine, beyond the money. If you do your job right, the money's going to come in later on naturally. Trust me. The second question kind of runs along with that, and that's from Ace Killer 213. He's looking to get into this line of work. What places in Vegas do you suggest to valet park? And that's also a very good question. I was in Vegas about a month ago, and in Vegas they have a lot of parking where it's $25 just to park, $19, whatever. What happens, and people they misunderstand when you valet park like that. You'd think that's going 100% to the valet company or even to the valet. A lot of times it's going to the casino or wherever you're parking. So if you can, try to find a hotel that actually has complimentary parking. You're tipped higher, and 99% of that time, all those tips go to you. So if you go to a place like South Point, which is on the other side of the strip, that's complimentary parking, and they have huge parking lots. The people that come to you because they don't want to stand out in the heat or go all the way down to get their car in the heat, they will tip you better. So I like a place like South Point better than I like a Aria or a Caesars or something like that. So that would be my best suggestion. Try to find a lot that's a complimentary parking lot where they will actually tip you higher for that reason, because you're not paying $25 just for the parking fee, valet parking fee alone. So that's my advice to you. Let me know how it works out for you. The next story comes from Shlob on my cob. I've heard a ton of your stories and nothing really about homeless people in your area. I'm from Sacramento, and most of my stories revolve around the homeless. I would love to hear how you deal with the homeless problem in your area. Actually, what's good about it, Atlanta was very funny back in the day about homeless people. If we had homeless people, you never really saw them because the city of Atlanta would usher them to the borders. Atlanta's a huge international town, so we have a lot of international traffic come in, and the last thing you want to see is homeless people on every corner begging you for money. So often they would pick these people up and move them around. I've actually heard rumors that Delta and other programs, if you had a place that you can prove that you could move to, Atlanta would literally work with Delta and fly that person to that destination up to Hawaii, California, San Francisco, Sacramento. So maybe that's why you see so many people in Sacramento. But if you have a place, hey, I'm homeless, but my brother lives in California, they will fly you to California. I don't know if that policy still exists. I would actually have to look it up. But a lot of times you don't see many homeless people. Doesn't mean they don't exist. There are still tons of homeless people here in Atlanta. The homeless people we have had issues with, we had an issue, we spoke about this years ago, where they stole one of our cars. This valet was so familiar with this homeless person standing over his shoulder, he never thought twice about it. So until it was cold one night and this homeless person hopped in this Toyota Tacoma and took off. He only used it to sleep in throughout the night. We ended up getting the car back a day or two later, but we had to do an extensive detail on the inside because it smelled horrible. The customer was okay, but that was one of our incidents. The other ones, the valets are really funny when it comes to, they don't like carrying the equipment out to the corners to say, hey, valet parking this way, this way, this way. So they actually pay the homeless person at night. So usually about 11 o'clock, the homeless people will start gathering around the parking lots because they know the valets pay them like $2 or $3 to bring up all the equipment and put it away because they don't want to do it. So it's really stupid, it's really silly, but yeah, that's another way that they use the homeless people. The other thing that I've seen a lot of homeless people that come around other parking lots, and the valets are very strict of, hey, you can go on the sidewalk, but do not cut through our parking lots because you never know when that happens. And yeah, technically you can't, I guess it is private property and they're not supposed to be on private property, but they're really big on telling homeless people do not walk through our parking lots. That's our biggest nightmare. So, and a lot of times they will cut through because it's a shorter distance than rather than going to the corner than going around. They'll just cut through the middle and go through the back of these parking lots. But honestly, we don't have that many problems with homeless people. I don't know how other people are in Atlanta. They can chime in maybe, but as of now, no, we don't have really crazy homeless problems. And the final question comes from Johnny Come Lately, surprisingly, and he wants to know what are the updates on the nicest cars we've driven. And honestly, I have to tell you, we were blown away. I got a phone call, and we were working one of our luxury events, and the valet called and said, Alex, we have a McLaren Senna. And if you don't know the McLaren Senna, that car costs between 1.2 and 1.5 million. I got nervous. I got really, really, really nervous, and I had to get down to that parking lot. A, because I wanted to see it, and B, here's a funny story. I was a little nervous. I was nervous because that's a lot of car, a lot of inventory. So I'm like, let me go down there and make sure everything goes smoothly. The car was parked right next to us in the lot. We didn't even have it on the property. And everything went smooth. When the owner came out, ironically, I was still there, and I told him, hey, and this is kind of a funny story. I said, I think you might be my neighbor. He's like, why? I said, in the morning sometimes, like at 8 a.m., I see you drive by in front of my house. He's like, really? Where do you live? So I kind of told him, and I also told him about the garage. He's like, I know exactly where you live. You're the one that has the white S2000. Out of all the cars, he picks out the white S2000. And I gotta love it. This is coming from a McLaren owner. So people ask, how much did he tip? Honestly, that day he didn't tip anything, but he came back the very next day in his G-Wagon, and he tipped $100 to the same valet. I don't think he did it on purpose, but we were in a conversation. He hopped in the car and drove away, but the second day he did tip $100. And the final question comes from Ghost 7 Fire. And thank you for always watching. You always give great questions and comments. And he wanted to know, do we have to sign NDAs when we do these parties? NDAs are non-disclosure agreements or non-disclosure forms. And that's basically saying, hey, if we're doing a party for Shaquille O'Neal, we can't tell people we're doing a party for Shaquille O'Neal. But if it's public, then it's a different thing. And yes, we do parties for Shaq, but that was I think it's called Shaq's Funhouse, so it's not really a secret. It was open to hundreds of thousands of people. But anyway, do we do NDAs? I think we've only done NDAs 2 or 3 times, and that was usually in the years past. That's with Jay-Z or Jeezy, and those were over 10 years ago. But the current ones, we don't have NDAs, but what they do say is put our cell phones away. I can have my cell phone on me, obviously, because I'm the owner of the company, but they do not want to see the valets with their phone out taking pictures of celebrities or whoever. In fact, we have a party coming up this Friday where we have celebrities coming in, and they told us all to put our phones away. So I don't even know who's going to be there. It's supposed to be a big to-do. But overall, no, we don't have NDAs that we sign. And if we do, personally, I don't tell you or share these stories for at least a year. Like some of the parties we're doing this week, you're not going to hear about them until next year, maybe, because it's long and gone. The people could have moved or anything like that. But I try to respect their privacy, and I don't share information like that. So if you've enjoyed these stories and these AMAs, please give a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithms. And again, I enjoy being out here. I enjoy sharing these stories. And there's tons more stories to come along. So please watch soon.